So welcome to Conversations with Calvin. This is March 30th, just to put things in chronological order. Uh, and I always like to highlight the poignancy and the reasons why I do things. And I'm with Rima Samman, who, and I want to get this right, what a story to tell that we're going to be doing. But Rima has created the International Heart COVID-19 Memorial, which is in Belmar, New Jersey. In addition to being an artist and humanitarian and a photographer, but this memorial has gained international recognition for recognizing the losses that we've all had with COVID. And she'll tell, Rima will tell a story. You know, my involvement actually came from Nancy Ryan, a dear friend of ours. Nancy is a singer and a songwriter and a journalist and a broadcaster and a dear friend of mine. And Nancy had lit my fire, in the words of Jim Morrison. She lit my fire and introduced me to Rima, and Rima and I chatted, and I learned. But the other thing that struck me, and Rima and I talked about this, is my attachment to Belmar, where, and I thought that was a great deal of synchronicity. And I have this amazing attachment to Belmar, and maybe I'll leave it at that. Let people wonder. Without further ado, I want to introduce Rima. Just do a little bio of yourself, and then we're going to jump in to this whole memorial.
All right. So my name is Rima. I created the memorial for COVID victims in Belmar, New Jersey. I've been a resident in Belmar for about 10 years. And my family and I migrated here to the US from Beirut, Lebanon in '89. So we've been here for quite a while now. And unfortunately, my brother passed away last year on Mother's Day, May 10th. Yeah, due to COVID. So that's kind of how the memorial all began. But that's how I got here, basically.
So let's put together some pieces to kind of fill in the blanks and get people to understand, and in no particular order, but on March 13th, which was not that long ago, you did a special candle lighting. If you want to talk about that on the beach in Belmar.
Sure. So the memorial started in Belmar on January 25th, which would have marked my brother's 41st birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, we started out with one heart. Originally, my thought process was I would do the heart. I posted on a Facebook group, which is for grieving families and friends of COVID victims. I asked if anybody was from New Jersey, if they wanted to include their loved ones inside the heart, that I was just going to do like a candle vigil on the beach. And if anybody was local, they were welcome to come and join. And that day I got probably like 100 to 125 names.
Wow.
Yeah. And we put them in the heart, my boyfriend and I, and about maybe 25 people showed, locals. You know, there was one person that came from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and there was a woman named Teresa and her mother. They led us into prayer. There was a town local, very lovely gentleman named John Walsh. He came and he sang Danny Boy for us. And, you know, we all kind of said our condolences and went our separate ways. And I came home and I went to bed that night thinking I'm going back the next day to clean it up. And instead, I woke up to 198 messages
Wow.
asking me to add more names into the heart.
Wow.
And I said, okay. And basically one, one day after another, more and more requests came in, and that led to more hearts. And as it grew, everybody kept asking me, if I was going to light the hearts again. So I chose March 13th because for many of us, March 13th marked the beginning of the
Yeah.
pandemic, the shutdown,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, it marks the beginning for a lot of us of the ending of the time with our loved ones. So I again posted to Facebook saying that we were going to do the lighting ceremony at 6:30 p.m. I invited the same locals that were involved the first time around to join me. I also got a gentleman named Jonathan from With Intentions to come and do singing bowls for 5 minutes and 32 seconds of silence, which was to honor the 532,000 lives lost. And we lit 532 candles.
Wow.
One for each 1,000 lives lost.
Wow.
Yeah. And to my surprise, we had about 350 to 400 people show up.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I never ever thought I was reaching that many people. I never imagined in my life that this would get this big or it would lead to where it's leading. It was very shocking, but it was also very humbling. And most of all, it's helping everybody heal, including myself. So it just was very impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't know, what is the meaning of the yellow?
The yellow heart.
Yeah.
So the yellow hearts are the yellow heart is a symbol for COVID-19 victims. It started out in the UK and it has spread over to the US at this point. A lot of us that have lost somebody to COVID, wear a yellow heart pin or some sort of yellow heart symbol to honor those that we lost.
Okay. Off topic.
Mhm.
Off topic. I watched. I guess it was Sunday night. I watched CNN had a 2-hour medical. They interviewed the medical people who were involved in the COVID response, talking about what went on with the previous administration in our preparedness and it was rather devastating for me to watch that.
Right.
I was messaging back and forth with a dear friend of mine. We're trying to process. But anyway, it was just a comment I'm making. So, getting back, and actually, people out there should try to find it. It's pretty powerful, and again, I'm completely apolitical. I don't mess around with politics, but you had Dr. Birx and Redfield, and Fauci, talking about those early days.
Right.
And then, which is a nice segue for you to say a few words about your brother, because the relationship you had with him is so powerful and evident, and that's some of the energy that you got to do this.
Right.
So, if you want to just say a couple things about your brother. Older brother?
Actually, younger brother.
Younger brother. Okay.
Yeah, we're 13 months apart.
Wow. Oh, so you're close.
Yeah, we're considered Irish twins.
Uh-huh.
But everybody always thought we were twins growing up because we were always together. I even remember in school, I would walk him to his class before going to my class. So, but my brother was a very kind person. You know, he had a hard life. At the age of 17, he suffered a brain injury, a traumatic brain injury. So he spent the next 10 years or so going in and out of rehabilitation, you know, conquering things that he struggled with, like short-term memory, peripheral vision. But he overcame all of that.
Wow.
You know, yeah. So he actually started and finished his college degree after his brain injury.
Wow.
Yeah, he learned how to drive after his brain injury. And he even finished, you know, rehab. The last 5 years, he was independent. He was living in his own apartment. He was living with his girlfriend. And he was holding down a job working, you know, at customer service in AMC Theater. And he loved that job. And, you know, he had employee of the month so many times he asked his boss to stop giving him employee of the month.
That's funny.
Yeah. But most of all, what my brother's known for is his generosity to the community. My brother gave a lot. He was involved with his local church, involved with, you know, Sunday school for kids, and he helped a lot of fundraising and things like that for his community, for families that were struggling. You know, it's weird because I randomly will get messages about my brother from people that he's helped, and you know, they'll tell me what he did for them, and some of the things we didn't even know my brother did. So
it's a great legacy.
Yeah.
So next, the memorial has become international.
Yes, it has.
So if you wanted to talk about some of the international experiences and even some connection to Ireland.
Yes. So the memorial has grown internationally. It's gotten known again through social media. So I've gotten requests from all over the place, the UK, Ireland, South Africa. So one of the requests was a gentleman from Ireland. He vacationed here about 21 or 22 years ago in Belmar with his dad. And he has a lot of memories being at Belmar Beach. And unfortunately, his dad and his mom passed away 9 minutes apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. COVID.
So he had written me asking me if I can, you know, put a rock in their honor. And again, who am I to say no? There's, you know, and there's that connection to Belmar Beach. So a lot of people ask, you know, are these all locals? Are these just Monmouth County? You know, and the reality is no, they're not, but whoever's there has a tie into the beach somehow, some way. And for that gentleman, you know, it's that vacation they took here in Belmar 21 or 22 years ago that always, you know, stuck with him. So, you know, his rock is there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Belmar has had some of the most unbelievable St. Patrick's Day parades.
Yes, they have.
I've been to a few as a journalist, and even semi-marched in one. And usually on St. Patrick's Day, I haven't done it this year because of COVID, but there's a great picture of me, you know, wearing a kilt and one of those big hats.
Right.
Because one of the marchers saw I was a journalist and got me really involved. And like I said, Belmar is a very, very special place for me. I go every year and I sit on the Shark River jetty near where the memorial was.
Right.
And I've been sitting on that jetty since I was 10.
Wow.
I did it for that summer that I was 10 every day. I sat and used to dream of the world as a 10-year-old. And I would even dream, and I write about this, of becoming a father one day. And I don't
Right.
know how many kids who are 10 years old think about becoming a father, but I did. And I somehow every year, even if it's ceremoniously for just an hour, get back to the Shark River Jetty to meditate and commune with spirits. And it's funny, Rima, I told my son about this when he was old enough, at 3 or 4 or 5, that there's a special place someday I'd like to take you. And when he was 10, years old, because I was 10, I took my son,
Oh, wow.
yeah, to the Shark River Jetty. And, we still talk about that because
Mhm.
I had to do that. I mean, it's heavy spiritual stuff, but
Yeah.
I did it. Anyway, I think it was back in January or February, you got like 488 requests in one day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
extraordinary.
Yeah. It was at the end of January, beginning of February. There was 488 names in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
A
Wow.
lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Um, what is your goal?
You know, my ultimate goal is to create something like a memorial museum, similar to the 9/11 museum that you see in
Mm-hmm.
New York,
Mm-hmm.
um, that honors the lives lost, but as well educates people on what happened. Um, you know, I get a lot of questions about, am I going to limit it? How come I'm putting names from the UK, or how come I'm putting names from, the gentleman from South Africa? And the reality is, we might be oceans apart, but we're all suffering the same loss. Whether it's the gentleman in UK, or there's a woman, for example, from Freehold that has lost her mother, her 2 brothers, and a sister.
I remember
Um,
that.
yeah,
It made the news. I think they
yes,
were at a party and
yeah.
I remember that. Wow.
The reality is we're all suffering some form of loss, and it's all for one reason, and it's COVID, you know. And similar to you, I'm not a political person. So to me, it doesn't have anything to do with politics, and it doesn't have anything to do with what county I'm from or what state I'm from. It just has to do with offering people some form of peace, and some form of healing and some sort of acknowledgement, that we recognize your loss, and we want to help you heal, or we want to acknowledge it for you so we can move forward. And I think there's a cry for that right now.
There is, and the segue to my next question is, and you actually brought this when we were chatting the last couple, that there was a lot lost in this, and unlike so many other court disasters and things, there's PTSD as a result of this, right?
Right,
And
right,
there was no mourning, and people passed alone. So
right.
this is so devastating.
It's yeah,
Loss.
it's of course, there's so many factors that goes into all this, is that people didn't get the proper closures that they needed. Like it's it sounds silly, but like, you don't get a wake, you don't get to do the funeral. Some people got to do a funeral, but it had to be closed casket. Some people weren't even offered that option. They were forced to cremate for whatever reason. So, the normal routine that we go through has been taken away from us. In my brother's case, we still have not done anything as far as a funeral service goes.
Wow.
Yeah. So the reality is that all these people that have lost somebody are not just going through a normal mourning process. They are going through some sort of post-traumatic, stress disorders, because they were not able to deal with things the way normal people would, and there's a lot that needs to be healed from that. And that's the thing, behind all this that motivates me,
Mm-hmm.
is because providing that memorial is just one step of helping them heal.
Right.
I would love for, again, if we can create it the way it's intended to be, is maybe we can even create a network of counseling, or some sort of resources that everybody that comes in, we can at least network them to somebody in their area, in their state, in their county, that may offer some sort of bereavement counseling or PTSD counseling specifically for COVID.
There's a little bit of a segue to what you just said. It's very powerful what you just said. I ain't no expert, but I did read, and there's a tie-in. It's all related. It's because the entire world, we're one species. That's where I got the title from. But the entire world has spent about 380 days locked up. And,
Right.
and here in America, 532,000 families were affected
Right.
directly, and then the countless number of people who long haulers, as
Right.
they call them. But the other thing I wanted I just read something last week. I'm looking at the article. Up to 90, there's an up to 90% rise in depression among college students.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it ties in with you, and there's such an element that so many of us need a healing,
Right.
and you're doing that, which
Right.
is a really good segue for you to kind of talk about people helping you in the GoFundMe, if you can talk about that you
Right.
set up, which is doing
So
really, really well, and there's been a great response.
I wish it was doing better.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it should be doing much better, but
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in that, but
I basically started a GoFundMe for a few reasons. One is the memorial can't stay on the beach. I know that there's been a lot of comments on social media, like, why can't it stay on, beach? Why can't you just fence it up? The reality is the memorial wasn't intended to be on the beach. Mother Nature is going to get to it, whether it's the sun beaming down on it. Today, all morning, I spent rewriting names because they've already faded away.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going through each and every heart right now and rewriting each name because they're fading. Yeah. You have all the snowstorms that it's been through. It was under snow 3 different occasions. Not to mention all the rain that's been coming down. We just had a really bad rainstorm a couple days ago as well. So it can't stay out there. That's number one. Number two is, it's, the one thing that everybody constantly says is it's going to get so big. Like we said, there's 532,000 deaths in the US. More than that now, but excuse me. What's going to happen is, again, we need the space for it to grow. We need to be able to accommodate that. So we started the GoFundMe basically to have some money to build something. I am trying to work with local senators and state representatives. I met with one particular one yesterday, and it does look promising.
Great.
But again, the conversation led to, how much money have you raised so far? Because even though they might be able to supply us with some form of funding, we have to be able to account for a chunk of that funding ourselves. So as great as it's been that we've raised almost $10,000, $10,000 is nothing when you see these memorials that you see at the parks right now. You know, like there's one that's a very nice one at Atlantic Highlands, for example, for 9/11 memorial for Monmouth County only. You know, that memorial, you know, is more than $1 million.
I've seen it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
You know, but, and you've seen how simple that is. That's more than $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So we, you know, I've created a 501c at this point. So whatever money we are raising is nonprofit, you know, and our goal right now is to apply for some grants, you know, get some sort of funding. But the reality is that we need to get more aggressive with fundraising if we really want to save the memorial and create what people are asking for. You know, it's
Where can people find I'm looking here the contact where can the contact your Facebook address is Rami's Heart COVID Memorial, correct?
yes. Well, the Facebook page is called COVID-19 Memorial, Belmar, New Jersey.
Okay. Okay.
But the GoFundMe is under Rami's Heart.
Okay, Rami's Heart COVID Memorial, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where people can find it. That's important.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Kind of winding down. What has been the most challenging part of this whole undertaking?
I think the most challenging part has been getting, you know, the support behind it. You know, I get a lot of, you know, everybody basically, once the word got out that it has to be relocated, we get a lot of opinions on how to reimagine it. You know, like people say, oh, you can create a plaque and have it put on the boardwalk, or you know, you can get shadow boxes and put the hearts into shadow boxes. So we get all these ideas, but nobody gives us the location. You know, so the most challenging part has been getting the support we actually need, which is finding a location to relocate to.
Okay.
You know, and I think that I don't know how to stress it enough to people, because on a weekly basis I probably get 50 to 80 messages.
Wow.
On how to reimagine it.
Wow. That's a lot.
A lot. But I don't even get 5 on, hey, I'm the owner of this park. I think I could host your space, you know, and you know, maybe I'm asking for too much in that sense, but yeah, we get a lot of ideas on how to reimagine, but we don't get the answer that we're looking for, basically. You know.
Well, maybe, and that's part of my job, is to get this thing out there, which I love doing. I guess the last question to ask, I think it fits, but why haven't you stopped? What drives you?
I mean, there's definitely a need for this. And unfortunately, you know, I somebody put it best to me. It's like when I went out there to honor my brother, it was kind of like I was there to kind of you know, get some kind of closure or something. And seeing the response that I got the next day kind of lit a fire in me. It was kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm on to something here, and this is helping me, but it's also helping these people. So, you know, why not do it? And at this point, the way it's grown, it's almost like I've been handed this torch, and it's like you know, if you put it down, the torch is going to go out. You know, I feel like I can't stop until it's in the right hands. And, you know, the reality again is making sure it is in the right hands. You know, and I know that most people, through the conversations I've had, again, they always are saying like, you know, you can't do, you know, you can't do international, you can't do nationally because it's going to grow so big and it's just going to get out of control. But there's a reality to it. You know, that's the tragic loss that we've experienced. And as an artist, I'll make it work. You know, if you say you can have this 10 by 10 space, you know, I'll somehow make it work.
Right.
But, you know, visually, it's going to be out of control because the reality is that's what it's been like for the last year for everybody that has suffered the loss. You know,
Yeah, the
our
whole world
world,
has been affected one way or another.
exactly, exactly.
So,
So I feel like if we were able to honor, you know, people from 9/11, you know, or even if you look at World War I or World War II, right now, if you combine those losses, all three of them together, they still don't equate to the losses we've had from COVID.
correct.
And we've lost so much. Why not honor those that have been lost? Take the politics out,
Right.
you know, and instead, you know, honor the neighbor or the local doctor or local nurse that lost her life trying to save everybody else's, you know. So at this point, I don't think I can stop until I know that it's in the right hands with somebody else, you know, or until somebody else is running with the message.
It's great.
Yeah.
This has been great. What we've done, what you've done, not what we've done. I'm just trying to get the message out. I'm on your team here to get the message out in my way, and it'll sit here on Conversations with Calvin forever. That becomes in some small way a little bit of a memorial to the work you're doing.
Right.
And I'll keep promoting and re-promoting, getting myself to Belmar soon enough.
Right.
And actually one day get a cup of coffee
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
on my trip to Belmar. So, Rima, I thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Truly,
Thank
for what you're doing, and I thank you for your time. You've been so gracious,
you.
and I just wish you good things.
Thank you so much.
And again, thank you. And you know what? As my channel evolves, we're friends now. You can always come back
Absolutely.
and do updates. I sit here 15 hours a day, so I'm here all the time. I would love you to come back, do an update. I think that'd be a great idea.
Thank you.
So,
I would definitely update you.
Yep. So be well. We'll be in touch. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Calvin.